Hello everyone, welcome to Aspire High channel, an education content channel primarily intended for management studies. In this video session, we will discuss the important questions and answers for the coming term end examination December 2024 in respect of Unit 7, Socialization and Mobility in our Human Resource Management course. Now we shall discuss the important questions for the coming term end examination December 2024 in respect of this Unit 7, Socialization and Mobility. Based on the analysis of the previous 8 semester examination question papers, we have earlier in our video sessions, we have discussed the probability of questions for the coming examination. Block wise we have discussed, and based on that, actually socialization factors in organizational socialization was identified as an important topic for the coming examination. But to understand that socialization factors in organizational socialization, and that expectation is a 20 marks question from that, it is definitely necessary for us to have a briefing on the other topics like concept, the integration between the individual and the organization, the self concept and concept of role. So unless we initially discuss those 4 topics, we cannot have a fair understanding of the main topic, socialization factors in organizational socialization, considered as an important topic for the coming examination. First topic is concept of organizational socialization. Socialization is defined as a process by which persons acquire the knowledge, skills, and disposition that make them more or less acceptable members of their society. That is, society has certain expectations in respect of the knowledge, skills, and disposition, that is minimum levels of understanding and proper behavior from the members of the society. That means if the members won't come up to the expectations as desired by the society, automatically they will be getting excluded from the society. That is why socialization is very, very important. It starts from infancy and early childhood, that is right from the birth, and it goes on improving or goes on changing also, and we learn from our parents and other peer group to behave within a narrow range that is customary and acceptable. What it means is that an individual may have a wild imagination of about his behavior in the society, but that gets regulated by the society itself in the name of socialization, and based on the parents' guidance or directions, and also the peer group influence, the individual reforms himself. That means he slowly understands the realities. Now, that means he slowly withdraws from his wild imaginations and narrows down his behavior to a very much acceptable level as desired by the society in which he is there. In this way, the concept of socialization is to be first understood. So socialization starts from early childhood, and after that, on entering the school, and some changes will be there, that is called re-socialization. Further entering the college, another major change, and finally next comes the joining a job, that means starting a career. All these 3 stages, entering school, entering college, and starting career, are various stages of re-socialization. So finally, now we are concerned with organizational socialization, that is socialization as required in an organizational setting, that is of importance and concern to us. And in this particular situation, when a new employee joins, the manager to whom the new employee is reporting is responsible for this socialization process. That is why we are going to discuss the subject of organizational socialization in detail. The next topic is individual and the organization, the process of integration. So we are concerned with the process of integration of the individual with the organization in respect of the socialization process. In this context, the first and foremost thing one has to understand is the self-image. Every individual will have a certain self-image at the time of entering the organization. This undergoes change as they interact with the organization and learn new tasks and roles. That means the imagination or expectation will be something totally different or partially different from the reality that is present in the organization. You have, suppose a person has completed a CA course and joins a CA firm first as a trainee. Then whatever he has acquired, the knowledge he has acquired and the skills he has acquired in his CA course, coupled with his expectations of his own discharge of the professional role, is going to be put to test once he joins a company, a CA firm. Then slowly, in a span of some 3 to 6 months, he will be able to understand the realities of discharging the role. That means, that is what we are going to say is, as one interacts with the organization and learn new tasks and roles, the self-image gets changed. That is, the self-image undergoes change. This is the basic thing we have to understand first when we go on talking about the process of integration. Then comes the interaction between the individual and the organization. Organizations are designed to accomplish specific purposes, so they are not bothered, organizations are not bothered about the complete person. That is why we say the heading, never the total person. So a person may be working as a marketing manager. He has a lot of responsibilities in achieving the targets in respect of the marketing of a particular product, but he may be a very good person as an individual. He is very good in playing violin, but that is his personal matter. It has nothing to do with the organization's requirement. Therefore, the organization won't take into consideration of his accomplishment in that particular area of playing violin. So automatically what happens is, there is a limitation. The organization is interested in the specific behavior that affects the individual's performance in meeting the set goals or objectives. That is why we say that the company won't bother much about the individual beyond what is actually required for the company. There is always limited integration or socialization of the total person into the organization. That is, first we have to understand from the side of the organization. We are now talking from the side of the organization. Next comes the other side, never the total organization. In the similar way, we are now talking from the side of the employee. Just as the organization never encompasses the total, the individual also will not comprehend and experience the total organization. The individual's understanding of the organization is limited. The individual's organizational horizon is limited. For example, an employee will be working in a very lower cadre, a lower level, say a peon, somewhere working in a semi-urban place, related to a particular company. Then he may not be having a full overall idea of the company even. Similarly, even people at the lower rank of officer level, or the junior management level, also may not have full understanding of the company. They may be reading the annual report of the company once in a year, and they may be having some fair understanding of the financials of the company. But based on the differences in the hierarchical level, the tasks that are assigned and the departmental affiliations and interpersonal contacts, which are limited, geographical limitation or whatever it may be, automatically the people also won't get a total affinity to the organization as far as its understanding is concerned. Just like the organization is only taking into consideration a part of the person, the employee also takes into consideration a part of the organization. That is, the individual's organizational horizon is limited. In this way, both ways, the process of integration is to be understood. Now comes the self-concept and organizational socialization. The self-concept is the way you perceive and judge yourself. It is your way of thinking about the kind of person you really are. That is very easy to understand. Your own concept of about yourselves. That is how you consider yourselves. That is whether you consider yourself as a passive person or an aggressive person, and whether you see yourself as capable of leading a team or only fitting into the second line. All these things are your own self perceptions. Self concept is nothing but the way you perceive and judge yourself. Then it is of vital importance in the process of organizational socialization, because when the self concept is compatible with one's organizational role and requirements, the person is likely to be motivated, oriented to task performance, and he will have job satisfaction. For example, sometimes some contradictions also will be there. For example, somebody is of the view that he cannot be a leader, he can only be in the second line. But the organization forces him or her and places the person into a leadership position, say the manager of a unit. Then, contrary to the self perceptions, he or she may be able to perform very well, effectively, and come up to the expectations of the organization. That may also happen. So ultimately what is required is compatibility. Whether your self concept is correctly perceived or wrongly perceived, whatever it may be, there should be a compatibility. Once it is compatible, the person is likely to be motivated and his task performance will be up to the expectations of the organization, and he or she will have job satisfaction. That is all about self-concept and organizational socialization. The role perception is also important when we move forward with this organizational socialization. That is, manager's perception of his own role. Manager's perception of his own role means manager thinks that he should behave like this. Employee's perception of his own role. Employee is thinking that he should confine his duties as per the job chart. And manager's perception of employee's role, the second one. So manager is expecting that employee should perform like that. He should be more proactive. He should be more responsive to the demands of work like that. Employee's perception of manager's role. Employee expects that the manager should come to rescue when the workload is very heavy, and you should be able to provide some support in the form of additional hands like that. So these are all different. Manager's perception of own role, employee's perception of own role, manager's perception of employee's role, and employee's perception of manager's roles. And one more thing, manager's perception of the manager's role as seen by the employee. That is, manager thinking how this employee is thinking about me. Similarly, employee's perception of the employee's role as seen by the manager. So employee thinking about how he is evaluated or considered by the manager. Regarding, we are talking of roles, regarding roles only. Manager's perception of the manager's role as seen by the employee, employee's perception of the employee's role as seen by the manager. This particular diagram shows the role perceptions of manager and employee, wherein what we have to understand is there should be synchronization. That is, manager's perception of his own role is matching with employee's perception of manager's role, and similarly manager's perception of employee's role is matching with employee's perception of his own role. Then definitely there is a congruence. That means things will be very much comfortable for the successful functioning of the organization. Otherwise it leads to poor motivation. That is, manager's perception of employee's role should match with the employee's perception of his own role. Manager's perception of his own role should match with employee's perception of manager's role. Like this, there should be congruence. Similarly, the manager's perception of manager's role as seen by the employee, employee's perception of the employee's role as seen by the manager should also be in congruence. In this way, we can easily understand that such a situation is maybe ideal, but such a situation, if it is there at least to the level of some 80 to 90% in an organization, the motivation levels will be very high. And otherwise, the absence of it will lead to poor motivation, and it will impair the functioning of the organization to some extent. Why? Because they, in such an adverse situation, there will be a difficulty in communicating, because they will not be talking about the same thing in the same way. Suppose when the workload is very high, employee expects that more hands are to be given by the manager, whereas the manager's expectation is something different. The employee should sit for more long hours and complete the work. That is, expectations are varying. In this way, when there is no congruence as depicted here, as expected in this from the diagram, there will be difficulty of communication, and one thing will be taken in one way by the manager and the opposite way by the employee. So that is not desired for the successful growth of an organization, functioning of an organization. Now comes the examination point of view topic, which we have identified earlier: socialization factors in organizational socialization. We are expecting a 20 marks question. For that, as I said earlier, and also, first we need not straight away go into these points. We should start with the concept, whatever 4 points we have discussed, just like one para like that we can write, and then straight coming to this socialization factors in organizational socialization could be considered. In the socialization process, organizations are working with highly variable, heterogeneous and somewhat imperfect human resources. That means a lot of divergence is always found in respect of employees working in an organization, because they will come from different backgrounds, academic background, and similarly family background, financial background, locational geographical locations vary, and as many variations as possible are normally found in a big organizations. To the extent that individuals have faced significantly different socialization processes in their earlier lives, they represent different inputs to this process in this organization, because by the time the employee joins the organization somewhere in the early 20s, he might have already undergone a socialization process right from childhood. So that will have a bearing on the initial interaction. Once he joins an organization, it will have a bearing on this is the initial interaction. That is what we said, integration of the individual with the socialization process, because already for the past 2 decades or 2.5 decades, there was a socialization process in his or her life. That is very, very important to be highlighted here. Many studies have indicated that workers coming from different communities, different rural areas, urban areas, different social classes, just now I said economic classes, family background, educated families, already parents are employed for the past 2 generations, first time employees, first time coming into white collar jobs, like that, all those variations will be there. Agriculture background, non-agriculture background, all these variations will lead to such a situation wherein their differentiation by past socialization will lead to different expectations, different motivation level, different behaviors, and different levels of satisfaction in the organization. So these things are quite common when they actually enter the organization. But what we expect, why we are studying this subject here, is that over a period we should try to integrate all these people into the requirements of the organization. That is, organizational objectives are paramount. That's why organizational socialization has to happen. It has to happen over a period, and the very differences that we are talking of based on the past socialization are to be minimized. That then only you can have a very good synergy among all the employees in an organization. These groups represent subcultures that prepare people differently for functioning in work organizations, no doubt, but all those subcultures are to be gradually be if not eliminated, they are to be integrated into one culture, that is the organization's culture. From the examination point of view, I have enlisted here 6 points. They are the factors that are key to ensuring a smooth and effective socialization process for new employees in Indian organizations. These are not directly available in our course material, but while answering a 20 marks essay question, it is better to cover all these points. The first one is cultural integration. Understanding and integrating into the organizational culture is crucial. This includes familiarizing oneself with the company's values, norms, and expected behaviors. How to do that? Mentorship is required. Access to mentors or guides who can provide insights, advice, and support during the initial stages, that is probationary period or first year of service, helps new employees in socialization more quickly. That means some sympathy, a concern, a parental approach is expected from the superiors in an organization, supervisors in an organization. Training and development program. Whenever we talk of training, we always talk of this knowledge, skill, and also the abilities, attitudinal orientation. But in addition to that, it is always required that the employees are to be exposed to the broad general organizational knowledge and slowly inject the organizational culture into them. That will lead to effective socialization. The next point is the peer support. Peer support we can understand in simple terms. A graduate trainee engineer in a company, suppose joined just recently, then he may not be very much comfortable and free to interact frequently with his managers or supervisors for any clarifications, etc. So what happens is seniors, 1 or 2 year old senior colleagues could definitely provide the necessary support, which will ultimately lead to quick integration of the new recruits into the organization. Next one is the feedback mechanism. Regular feedback from supervisors and peers helps new employees understand their performance and also enables them to improve. How it happens? So that is a 1 or 2 year old senior telling a new recruit saying that your work is having is found to be having so many lapses or mistakes that may be definitely be commented by your supervisor. He may find fault with you, or you are taking a long time to complete a particular report, and you have to definitely develop the requisite skills and knowledge so that to improve your results. That type of informal guidance from 1 or 2 year old seniors will help the new employee understand his level of performance and areas for improvement, because he cannot freely interact with his immediate boss or immediate reporting supervisor. So this type of interaction or the feedback mechanism will be of help in improving the performance by the new employees, which ultimately leads to better integration with the organization. The last one is role clarity and expectations. Clearly defined roles and expectations help new employees understand their responsibilities. How can I contribute? What is the expectation from the organization as far as his or her contribution to the organizational goals? So every new employee thinks like that. So for that purpose, there should be very clear definition in respect of the roles and expectations, which will lead to enhanced job satisfaction and better and quick integration with the organization's culture. In this way, we can understand the topic of socialization factors in organization socialization, a very important topic from the examination point of view. But for better understanding, we have covered the concept and other topics also prior to this topic. Otherwise, straight away taking up this topic will not be of much help in assimilating the subject by many of the students. Thanks for watching. We shall meet in our next video presentation, wherein we will be taking up the next unit, that is Unit 8. I request all the viewers who have not yet subscribed till now to subscribe to the channel and support. Thank you once again.